around like a chicken with my head cut off, but I'm in front of the computer. I'm ready for you. So how does this work with Google?
What was that?
How's this Google thing going to work exactly as far as like because we're doing kind of like we did before, right, with the camera and everything?
No, just me recording you, just like all of our interviews, just pure audio, my man. So you are on the mic right now.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, that works.
Yeah, man. So it's just me asking you all about life and trading and what you're doing and how amazing you are and, all that kind of good stuff.
Cool. All right. So lead the way. Actually, let me get an earpiece on. That way I don't have to hold the phone if you don't mind. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir. You sound good.
All right. That's what I like to hear. All right, let's do it.
Beautiful. Let's do it. So everyone, I would like to introduce you to Mr. J.L. Mussi, who lives down in the Central Florida area. He is a gentleman who I've been introduced to over about the last year and some change. He has been a participant a few times in a few different interviews and podcasts and discussions. Great guy, has a lot of entrepreneurial experience, some trading experience, and just a really humble, hardworking, driven guy. So, JL, tell everyone a little bit about how you first got interested in the stock market.
So I got interested. Probably I might not be the best case study because it's kind of a funny story because I know you tell people most traders or instructors tell people to tiptoe in or do the whole paper account and just kind of see how you do with that, and once you master that, then you move on to real funds. But my first trade, believe it or not, was I didn't even know that well how options work, but I bought a $10,000 call on Amazon. And the funny story is that so this was around like when Amazon was sitting around, I don't know, like the $400-500 mark. And, I was like researching stocks and I was like, hey, I could buy a call for like pennies on the dollar. I mean, compared to the stock. So I bought it. It actually started working because it was at that point where Amazon basically made that run from like 400 to 1,000.
Yeah.
And long story short is I had 10K and I was pretty much almost up like 400%. So out of a $10,000 call, I was up like 40 grand, and then Trump came along, and with the whole anti-pesos, and they were going back and forth, and there was just kind of that dip, when the market reacted to Trump's election. So long story short is I probably ended up breaking even. Look, I didn't take any gains like a noob, but that was pretty much my first introduction crash course to options and the market, and then I figured, hey, has to be a better way to do this besides just putting $10,000 calls on Amazon. So I started researching, and I came across. I saw a lot of people trade and have kind of that instructional material, but I came across your stuff, and you made everything pretty digestible, and you're kind of a down to earth guy, so you made the information because it's not, to me, at its basis, they're not that exciting, but you make it exciting, and you make it kind of very reasonable, and just the strategies that you teach just make it kind of click with the way that I learn. So I've just been sticking around, and we've been kind of vibing, and I've been consuming your content, and I've gotten a little bit better over time, just applying your knowledge and your strategies.
Heck yeah, man. Well, thank you for the kind compliment. And one of the other reasons I'm having you on to interview is because I think you're one of those very open and honest people, and you're a no BS kind of guy. You'll tell everyone how it is and what happened and the good and the bad. That's a great story. Not taking any profit off the table. Classic. That's incredible, man. I love it. What broker were you using at the time, or do you still use them?
I'm still using E-Trade. So I might get some backlash, but E-Trade is okay. And then I was doing options for a long time, and it took a while to just really understand. I had some good wins. My account, I started trading with about 35K, give or take. So it's a decent sized amount, but it's not, it wasn't huge enough to do a lot of put sales. But it was enough to do put sales. I do them more now. But that's kind of why I was attracted to options, because you could really just leverage. But over time, you start finding out that options, they're hard to get right. You have to figure out the timing of the market. Basically the stock moves sideways or it goes against, whether you're on a put or a call. So really you have more ways to lose than actually win at those. And then, especially like if I used to do a lot of earnings plays, and that implied volatility just gets sucked out of those. So options are one of those things that, they're just kind of tricky to get right, because you've got to get the direction and the timing. So, and it's like you say, it's hard to time the market. So there's so many moving pieces to those that I've been doing more just, now I've been kind of going back to just buying the equities themselves or doing put sales. So that's kind of been something I've been doing more, and I've been having better luck at it than just doing basically buying calls or puts. But to answer your question, is just E-Trade. I've been doing E-Trade for a while. They're okay. I'm just used to them, and I think the broker is not that important as far as the right strategy and price. So
sure, no, totally. I agree with that 100%. What are you doing right now? Do you trade full time? Do you work full time? What's kind of your status that way?
I'm kind of in a transitional. I'm too young to have a midlife crisis, but I'm in a transitional place where I'm actually going to quit my job. And actually this week, I've been a college instructor for a university for the last 10 years. And, I have a couple side businesses. One was publishing content online and doing online marketing. And then, me and you kind of worked out some projects as well. So I've pretty much seen the power of just the internet and kind of how things are moving in that direction. And, I've been able to do enough smart choices with my money that I pretty much just bought myself some time to be able to kind of focus on me and my businesses without having to worry about a full-time job. So that's kind of pretty much where I'm at as far as my life. And it's a pretty big move, but I'm excited, and one thing that I learned just kind of doing businesses is, and you could probably relate to this, but, as entrepreneurs, we have a lot of energy and a lot of ideas, and at face value, doing stuff on the internet seems easy. Like, I'll put up a YouTube video, I'll build up a website, I'll build this brand. But, over time, when you stack so many things on a plate, it's almost like the Three Stooges syndrome, where the Three Stooges try to walk through one door. So you got like a lot of things, but they just don't get through. So at one point, I was doing so many things between my freelancing, because, I'm an artist as well. So I was doing that, graphic design. I was working at my job. I was running my publishing company. I was doing projects with you, online marketing. And I just kind of hit this wall where, like, I would actually just zone out, because my brain never really stopped working. Just kind of how it is, but just having so many different things, having to switch gears, it just kind of hit me. And, as much as I love my job, it was almost like I really just felt that, a company is just going to pay you they're going to pay you enough just to stay there. They're going to pay you your market value, but I think, they're not going to really just, like I said, I was in a dead-end position. I wasn't going to go to management. I had a good, easy, comfortable job, but, at the end of the day, I was going to be there, next 10 years if I stayed, and I would still be doing the same position, right?
Yeah.
So, and then when you open yourself up as a business entity like you have, and you see growth online, and you're able to just kind of reach people directly, you're not under a company, you don't have to follow their protocol, you could just teach directly to students and have that one-on-one interaction. I think that's valuable, and you can grow as a business, and that really motivates you. So to me, the essence of the story is, you could have a job that pays you 50, 60, 70K, but if you figure out a way to make maybe like 20 or 25 doing something that you like, the beauty about that is scalable. Your salary is not scalable. You get your 3%, 5%, whatever the company gives you, and that's it. You're just going to be doing that for the rest of your life. So that's kind of my mind frame. And for a while, it was tough just, making good money online and then having to kind of wear both hats and then going under and being under just a company structure. And so, yeah, I just kind of decided to take that leap, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Man, I love that. Okay. 2 questions then. How would you relate that to trading the stock market? Meaning all of the things that you were looking at, all of the different activities, all of the things that you were revolved around in businesses and companies. How would you relate that to trading? And number 2, how are you going to trade after you quit your job? Which, by the way, congratulations, everyone in the chat pane. Feel free to throw some congratulations for JL taking the leap. I love it.
Yeah, so to answer your question, how it relates to the stock game, pretty much, is the way I feel about it is stocks are. I think a lot of it is just mental, and once you get past that mental part and you have a good game plan, pretty much the basics of what you teach is always kind of having a game plan. I think that just developing that mental fortitude to just, buy at the right time, get out at the right time, don't be greedy, take profits, have a stop loss in place. You get better at it. And the more you do it, the more you just are experienced, the better you'll get. And it's something that I do feel that it's scalable against a 9 to 5. Like I feel that the more you trade, you will be more profitable. You will have more wins than you do losses. And that's pretty much it. That's how I could probably the easiest and one-on-one ratio to relate what you were saying is I think it's scalable.
Yeah.
Trading is scalable. It's something that you make money, you can roll it back in, and whether a job, it's, they're going to pay you hourly. You're just trading your time for money, and, that's it. So I think you open up yourself more to a bigger upside once you become an experienced trader and you're able to mitigate your losses. And the second question, what was the second question?
Well, I'll repeat it, but I love the word scalable. That's a great thing to think about, folks. Anytime you want to do anything else in your life ever, ask, is it scalable? Is it something that I can do more of, right? Or is it something I will tap out at some particular point in time? So if you're a lawyer, you can only take so many cases. If you're a doctor, you can only work so many hours. I mean, it comes down to whatever it is that you're trying to do. If you're self-employed and you're doing something with physical products, I mean, at some level, it's going to be very, very tough to break through that ceiling. So anyway, I love that word scalable. Thank you for using it. So JL, my second question was, so after you quit your job, what role is trading going to play? Is it going to be, are you going to focus on day trading, option selling, longer term? Are you going to focus on your digital publishing content? What's kind of going to be your main focus?
Well, trading, I do want to mitigate. I want to be better at mitigating my losses. When I had my job, it was guaranteed money. So to be honest, and I think, and any time in life, let's just say that you grow up and maybe you have, like your parents always, to fall back on, right? Maybe you're not as motivated to always make those right decisions. Like you have a safety net. And for most of my life, I didn't really have a safety net for a lot of things. But when it came, once I got older and, I had a stable job, and I actually had multiple streams of income. So I think it's just human nature when you got that safety net that you take higher risks because you know that, okay, I blow a couple grand on this trade, I get paid next week, right? So now when you kind of cut out this guaranteed income, because I still have income for my online businesses, but this guaranteed income is not guaranteed anymore. It's not coming, and then whatever I do. And obviously, you know, with the economy, anything could happen with your businesses. So so long story short is I'm going to really focus on risk management, mitigating those risks. Really, and I love the risk strategy that you have, the risk reward. I'm actually going to be very religious to that because I don't have that safety net anymore. So that's the best way. But as far as trading strategies, I think I'm going to stick with just shares and put sales.
Yeah.
And kind of, you know, like I said, I've been feeling or staying away more from just a directional option, you know, bet. So that's kind of the strategy that I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep doing put sales and then just doing, you know, swing trades with shares.
I can appreciate that. Lovely. Well, do you want to dive into maybe a little bit more about what you do on the side? So, okay, you have trading, you're going to focus on put sales, kind of swing trading stock. What's your other irons in the fire? What else are you going to do for income?
I do have a publishing company where I publish. I'm on Amazon. I also did wide distribution to other networks. So I've been just buying content pretty much. I research, I see what's in demand, and then I get content created. And then as a publisher, I just publish that onto multiple platforms. And then also I'm going to be focusing more on my freelance and creative agency where I sell videos, video content for creators. So if you needed a video, for example, for your company, you needed maybe animated video, a whiteboard video, I could do that for you. I could basically create covers, any scope of design where it comes to graphics, websites, video, and also marketing. So just kind of a full suite of creative services meant to help entrepreneurs and businesses just have content or market their current content that they currently have.
I love it. Okay, that's great. So how would you go about scaling that, since you use the term scaling? What's your vision for how you become more efficient and scalable in that regard?
Well, I learned a lot with my publishing company because when I first started, I literally just bought I probably paid about $200 for somebody to write a book, and I threw it up, and it started getting sales. I think, and not to sound cocky, but I felt like my talent sometimes played against me. It also hurt me. And the reason I say that is because I went to school for graphic design, so I was always a pretty good artist. And for a long time with my company, you know, I would obviously have the book created for me, but I would do a lot of the stuff like the book covers, the website, a lot of design work, and it took me a long time to let go of that, right? So a lot of times when we're close to something, we don't want to let it go. But not letting it go is kind of what prevents us from scaling up. But long story short, I got used to just being a project manager. I got used to, you know, if I had a need, I knew how to go on Upwork, get to people, create training material, and, you know, just being an instructor, that's kind of, it was pretty natural to me just to be able to teach people how to do things. So I would have to train people. So I got in the knack of basically having a need for a project. I'd find the best candidate. I would, if they're not up to speed, I would train them, and I would get projects done. So I kind of became a good project manager, and, you know, building that business from the ground up, you know, gave me confidence going forward that, hey, I can do books, and I didn't really know much about books. You know, it wasn't like I was an avid reader. I actually found my editor actually helped me to basically assess the quality of the content. I would read it, but she had a better eye for the written content. So she would assess the better writers. She would assess the value of it. So sometimes when you create a business, you got to be level-headed enough to basically diagnose your weaknesses and then, you know, hire somebody that's going to complement you. But also with your strengths, you got to let go of some of those if you really want to be able to scale because, you know, for a long time, I was making really good money and I was still doing the book cuts, you know, so it's like, and though that, I think that's just human nature, and you know me well enough that I'm pretty, somewhat of a perfectionist.
Yep.
When it comes to creating content, and sometimes that can hurt you, because we all know that, you know, at some point you just got to bang out the content, get it out there, get some traction. So you got to really just find that middle ground, and that's kind of what I'm preparing myself to do now. Is just find that middle ground, let go of things, outsource it if it can be outsourced.
Okay.
So
I love it. And I'm not going to ask this question about me. So answer this question with nothing to do with me at all. But
okay,
do you think other people should write a book about something? What's your thoughts on that? Well, let's just say, do you think anyone should write a book about something they're knowledgeable about? I guess is a better question.
You know, it's kind of a funny thing because, you know, like I've been, you know, just in the marketing scene for a while, and I always see people, you always see those pitches, especially if you're like on the entrepreneurial side, like if you have maybe email marketing software, you build websites, you know that you're like kind of retargeted those ads. So you kind of, you know, whatever circle you are, and obviously like we trade stocks, so you're looking that up, and then you're probably going to get a bunch of, you know, stock-related ads. So kind of that's how the internet kind of works now. It's like whatever you consume, you're kind of retargeted that content via ads, if that makes sense. But I see a lot of these ads or gurus come out and say, hey, I have a successful YouTube channel. You could make money with YouTube. And then it's like, hey, I'm the bestseller author of XYZ. This is my program, how to launch and get 1 million, you know, ebook sales. And then the guys doing podcasts are going to say the same thing. So I think just being able to assess your skills is an important, and just really have a good understanding of what you do and what you do best is probably the best advice I could give somebody. So maybe you're not that good with words. Maybe you're better on video, or maybe you're better with short form content and doing blogs, or maybe you're not good writing or on camera, but you have a real good voice and you could just talk to people, and maybe you're better suited for a podcast. So I think a book is just a medium to get your story out. And if you really deep down inside think that you have a story to share, maybe a book works, and maybe there's a better way. But I think you just have to go through trial and error. And, you know, like I said, writing a book is a pretty massive undertaking, and you could probably, you know, testify to that. But, you know, I think if you've never done it, and, you know, you're somebody that's been, you've been around the block as far as getting your name out there and kind of having that experience. But maybe, you know, if you want to just, if you go from zero to a book, I think that's a big step, you know. And the other thing that, you know, a lot of people do is when they want to write a book is that they don't really take account the market, like the demand for it. So if you're not a big personality and you're not technically like your own keyword and you don't have that audience, then it's going to be hard for you to create that traction. And that's kind of what I was successful with ebooks, is because I would see what was selling. And Amazon actually makes it pretty easy to figure out, you know, what's actually selling on the bestsellers list. They're pretty blunt about it. Even if you go and type in Amazon the search, it's actually going to auto predict the most relevant and most popular results. So they'll actually autofill for you once you start, you know, tapping on the Kindle store. So those are clues. Amazon's going to give you a lot of clues, a lot of information on what's actually selling. And you have to be, you could go in there and interpret the data. But, you know, if I wanted to make a book about, I don't know, some obscure, like maybe painting coconut paintings. Like I want to talk about my experience doing that solely, but maybe there's not a market for that, right? Like maybe in my heart it's there, but I don't have the audience, and there's no demand for it. So you could do it, you know. And I think people, when they create content, is like, what are you doing it for? Because if I'm passionate about my book and I'm pretty much just hard set on this, and I just want to do it for me, or for anybody listening, like you kind of have that desire just to put the story out there for you, then do it, right?
Sure.
But if you actually want to make money or you want to get famous, then you really got to ask yourself, align, what you're doing with content that's already being consumed. So that's, I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. Makes total sense. Okay. Well, then I'm going to give you a tough question. And I don't really script any of my interviews, and everyone knows that. Now you know that.
So wait, the other ones have been easy? All right.
Yeah. So,
all right, cool. I'm ready. Lay it on me.
Here's what I got. As a trader, I'm always talking and telling people that they should have multiple streams of income, that it's important, that you should really do your absolute best to find multiple ways to make money. What would you say is the easiest entrepreneurial e-commerce thing for someone to do to make money outside of trading the stock market?
So that's funny that you say that, because even though I'm all about like digital content, I actually, this is an actual story about a year ago, Toys R Us was shut down. So I went to Toys R Us and I saw a bunch of WWE belts, and everything was dirt cheap. So I see them, they're going for like $70, and then I'm like, and these are not like kids. These are like collectible, high-end leather. These look like the WWE Championship belt. So I go in there and I look on eBay. And man, eBay's like, they go for like $220, $250. Somebody already sold like 20 at that price. And I go on Amazon, they're selling for like $3 and change. And I'm like, man, I think I'm gonna roll the dice on it. So I drop about $700. I got like 12 WWE belts, put them in my spare bedroom at the house, and then put them up on eBay like for $200. It doesn't sell. I was like, you know what? Let me try Amazon FBA. So I go through the process. FBA on the back end is a little bit intimidating, just because Amazon's very specific on how they want things. But long story short is, I took those $700 and I flipped it to I made about $1,500 to $2,000 off a $700 investment, and that was without selling two of them, because the boxes, one somebody damaged and the other one I had a damage and I never spent it. So to me, FBA is probably the easiest.
Can you explain what that is to people? What is FBA?
So FBA is fulfilled by Amazon. So it's basically a way that, for a long time, people, like I did the eBay, hustle back in the days, and it's pretty laborious because you have to find the product, put it up, and then once it sells, then the next leg begins, where you have to package it, you have to ship it, you have to make sure it gets there, you have to deal with the refund. So basically what Amazon figured out is that a lot of people, they want to sell, but they don't want to worry about having to ship, having to pack, having to deal with refunds. So for a small fee, what they do is they kind of leverage their huge ecosystem of e-commerce. And, if you wanted to sell, real life trading t-shirts, but you wanted to just kind of step back, you would just send Amazon a big box of shirts. You would package them to the requirements, and then they would basically just take care of all the selling for you for a reasonable fee, and you basically just sit back and collect the money. So I don't want to use the word passive income, because I feel dirty using that word, because it's so abused nowadays.
So abused. So what is passive income? I have no idea what that is. but it and I didn't. It was like, I would just check my email, like, boom, this belt sold. So and even with the refunds, Amazon took care of it. So I just from my experience, Amazon, they're good at selling. They do a lot of. They spend millions of dollars of buying keywords online and attracting customers, and they make things so easy to sell, right? So I think if you're pretty much just starting out, and obviously, with FBA, you do have to have the right product. So that is, with anything, you have to have the right product. But FBA, to me, my experience, is probably one of the easier ways to do it. Okay.
Anytime, I think really just when it comes to sales, sales, it's a tough thing. You know, it's something that people spend a lot of time to get right. So anytime that you can pay somebody like Amazon a cut and they do the selling for you, then it's, you know, it's kind of a good introduction, because that way you get introduced to part of the pipeline, and then you could kind of, you know, leg into, you know, researching and the marketing and all the other stuff that comes behind it. But anytime that you start a business and you're not getting any money, most people just quit. So that's the good thing about FBA, is that, you know, if you have income coming in, that opens up scalability. It really just opens up kind of your hopes. You get your hopes up and you want to keep doing it, right? So that's probably my suggestion, if anybody wants to just start. But,
that's a
you know,
good
it's like
suggestion.
Huh?
That's a good suggestion. And another question that I have for you, where the heck did you learn all this terminology? Like, how does someone become as well verbose as you? Like, I mean, you're talking about landing pages and squeeze pages and FBA, and where do you learn all this information about online marketing and sales? Was it books? Was it seminars? Or what did you do?
Well, I don't know. It's like, you know, you kind of have your whole BlackBerry story, and you know, for me, when I was about 15, well, when I was younger, actually, I used to people used to pay me to just do drawings. I would borrow my artwork for like comic books. Some people would pay me just, you know, $5 here and there. And then I started cutting grass when I was about like 15. I saved like $300. You know, I had $300 in my drawer. That's before I could even find a job. So I always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit for a long time. I had a T-shirt business that failed, you know, and that was all before pre-internet. So I was doing a lot of stuff, and it felt like a lot of work. But I was always one of those guys that I had a new business idea every week, and I would follow through, and I'd kind of, you know, figure it out, dissect it. And then probably about 12 years ago or 11 years ago, I met a buddy of mine, and he kind of started explaining about Amazon and Google and ads and, you know, things of that nature. Just kind of opened me up to the internet marketing. And, you know, I was just like amazed, because, you know, I had a pretty good sense of perspective, because I had like physical businesses that failed. You know, I had a graphics and T-shirt business that there was a brick and mortar. I was paying rent. I had to drive over there. You know, I had to gas up my vehicle. I had to buy supplies. I had a lot of overhead. So when, you know, I figured like you could open up a website, or you could put, you know, this on eBay or Amazon, or you could do Google ads, and this is how XYZ works. Like, I was just amazed. I was almost obsessed, and I started just learning by myself. I also purchased content. I went to a couple of digital marketer, conferences. So I kind of became obsessed and intrigued about it, and I was really just amazed at it, because, you know, one thing about me is like I'm pretty competitive, and when I had my T-shirt and my design business, which is like a brick and mortar, like I kind of went through this phase where I got pretty depressed, pretty down, because I was always somebody that, you know, as an artist, even, you know, when I train, like I always go hard. I like to get results. And I took that loss pretty personal, but then I started selling digital products online. So that was kind of my first big breakthrough as far as making money online, because I had a T-shirt company where I had, you know, a high-end printer where I could actually do designs on demand, put it on a T-shirt. I would also just airbrush on shirts, and, you know, so I was doing that. And then that same friend that told me about Google and AdWords, he was actually making money online selling 3D models. So I'm a 3D artist as well. And I started doing something very similar in fashion, where I was designing shirts, but it was for it's for a platform called IMVU, which is like Second Life, where people just create avatars. And probably the best way to describe it is in-app purchases, right? It's just like it would be just me and you as avatars,
Okay.
And those customers could actually buy content. They can buy clothes. So I started designing the clothes with a 3D model and 3D modeling and putting the texture on and selling it. And actually I probably made about 30, 40 grand in a year. And that was just me with a laptop uploading products. So it kind of my brain just, a big light bulb went off. Like I was doing this physical business where I was just, busting my behind, trying to make ends meet, trying to pay pretty much the overhead. And then on the flip side, I was able to actually just make so much more money online because my costs were so low, right? All I needed is the internet, and I already had the laptop and the software. So that kind of, ever since then, I've just been a big proponent of just doing business online and how, if you were to start an online business, your overhead is so exponentially lower than a brick and mortar business is now.
Very good point. Very good point. Yep.
So it makes things a lot more achievable, and even if you fail, you're not you're not in the hole. Like when I sold my business, I lost about 10 grand. So and I've had websites and campaigns that failed and never went nowhere, but you're probably out of $100 in time, and you learn. You learn by failing. You just gotta dissect. You gotta step back and figure out why you failed and tweak some things and go back at it again.
Okay. Well, with all that knowledge then, what would you say would be your 3 or 4 favorite long-term stock plays or positions based on just that overall knowledge that you have with those different markets?
Well, I do like gaming stocks, Activision. I think the whole Fortnite scare is probably comparable to kind of Amazon and Costco. I remember I was training Costco, and as soon as Amazon bought Whole Foods, everybody got scared, and then Target started tanking, and then also Costco tanked. So I think those stocks are a little bit oversold. As far as games, I do like Blizzard and Activision, just kind of those IPs that they hold. I think the whole concept of e-gaming seems kind of crazy to a lot of people, but I got a lot of friends that are like hardcore gamers, and they religiously watch other people play video games. So it's kind of one of those things that if you're maybe not into the gaming or not that much deep into gaming, it might seem kind of ridiculous if you're not in that world. But I've seen it. I've seen people that are way into that, and I definitely think that that could be the next Super Bowl as far as views. Like I do truly think that once they get that, and just kind of knowing how businesses work. Like once you find the audience, then technically if these esports get the type of audience that the Super Bowl gets, they'll be able to charge for ads and multiple streams of revenues. And the good thing about this is that these are not high-end athletes. These are guys playing video games. So I think just the cost, they don't it's not like they have to take care of their bodies to that degree. So I think it's kind of they're playing video games and it's something that's serious and it takes practice, but it's not like they don't need $1 million facilities or physical trainers, personal trainers. That amount of staff is just really it's a couple of guys or females playing video games. So just those costs leveraged with the type of audience that, could potentially be there. I do like those companies, especially kind of what they're trading at now. So yeah, I would say Activision. Let's see, 3 other stocks that I do like. I do like AMD as well. I told you my sad AMD story about I bought probably about 6,000 shares around that $10 mark, and then it's funny because you always talk about stocks kind of breaking that lower support slightly, and everybody freaking out and selling. Yeah. And then it goes higher. That's exactly what I did. And then so literally AMD went from around 9 and change when it clicked like those stops that they went from there to like 30. And I went pretty hard on AMD, but I feel like AMD is a company. I have a couple laptops that have their cards, so I never had problems with them. They're relatively cheap compared to like the NVIDIA. So yeah, I do like AMD. Planet Fitness, I like Planet Fitness, not as a gym. I know you had an investor that talked about Planet Fitness, and I started researching them, and I have a lot of friends that go to Planet Fitness, and, you know, it's kind of a brilliant model that they have, you know, like instead of recurring revenue, and they're so cheap that people don't care too much about it, like, and that's kind of how I am. If it's a bill that's like $10, and, you know, you got a job, it's like, yeah, it's just $10, it's not going to hurt me. So I think people were just motivated just to keep it, even though they're not really there all the time.
Sure.
And, you know, it's funny because I had a lot of friends that check in all the time at Planet Fitness, and they probably go like, I would say for me, my experience, I'm not talking about everybody, but like the people that I know, they probably go there like once or twice a week, you know, Planet Fitness. And so I think it's kind of a brilliant strategy. Over here, I think what's helping them out, and I also read an article on them, is that malls, you know, malls are pretty much on the way down. I don't know how it is kind of your side of the country, but here in Florida, you know, they're pretty much declining. So there's a couple malls, but they have all this like real estate space that's like dirt cheap now because the malls are dying to get people in there. And, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with like how malls work, but once those anchor stores go, like the JCPenney's, you know, Sears is down the drain, but, you know, like the Macy's, JCPenney's, the Dillard's, like once those get out of the mall, they become a ghost town because that's what really drives people there, and then they kind of stroll around and make their way around for the smaller shops. So long story short is Planet Fitness has benefited from having kind of this decline in the malls, because now they're putting, you know, some of their facilities inside malls, and they're paying a lot cheaper as far as the rent that the overhead that they have.
Interesting. Wow.
And yep, so those are three right there that I do like pretty much as far as stock picks.
Okay. No, that was very helpful, and I know it probably doesn't seem like it, but somehow that was already 50 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So what about you? What would be your kind of top three just going forward? I know you like 10 cent, and I like 10 cent as well. Kind of forgot to drop down 1.5, but what are you kind of most bullish on for the next year or so?
Yeah, man, here I'd have to name like a quick top list, but yes, Planet Fitness is up there. I really do like GoDaddy. They're doing some great things right now, and I love their chart. I mean, everything looks really solid on GoDaddy. Salesforce, I'm a real big fan of, and they're going to continue to grow as they continue buying smaller CRMs, and as the internet and entrepreneurial world grows, they're going to continue owning more and more of those models, recurring revenue type of systems. And then, I mean, we got to go back to our fan favorite, Square. They are putting in work, and they are the new payment processing system. They had a 40% drop in price from where it was just a few months ago, and we're starting to slowly rally back to those areas. So those are probably the four that I like the most.
Gotcha. Yeah, sounds solid.
Yeah.
Sounds solid.
Well, but brother, thank you so much for being here. And again, for anyone who is listening in, if you want to reach out and just ask JL about anything, or if it's, product related, business related, you need help with any of your website stuff or just entrepreneurial marketing stuff, he is a real life trader. He will be apparently trading a lot more next week since he's quitting his job. So again, JL, congratulations. And thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate your time.
All right. I appreciate it as well, man. I appreciate you, reaching out to me and just kind of getting my input. And, you're doing great work. So I'm just proud of you and all the things you got coming up with, your money grows on trees and just kind of the personal branding and the stuff you're doing with real life trading. So it's always a pleasure. It's always good times. And, we always, make magic happen when we work on our project. So we're going to keep that going, and appreciate you interviewing me.
Dude, my pleasure. You are the man, JL. Take care.
All right, have a good one.
You
Later.
too. Ladies and gentlemen, the real life trading community is just so full of amazing people who are so knowledgeable about so many different aspects. Make sure to use this community for all it has. So many people, diversity, different, backgrounds, religions, income streams, knowledge arenas, places they live in the world, geographically, an amazing amount of wealth and just knowledge in this community. I love it. Last stocks that we're going to review really quick. We'll pull up PANW since we were talking about that right before we left. And Maloney, if you played it, congratulations. Most likely we're able to snag around an R. If you are still in this one, Maloney, you can lower your stop, I think. I'd probably take the stop to about here, which is 252.80. That would be above the 10 EMA on the 15-minute chart. That would look most like something we could keep an eye on. And Pivotal, I guess no. Kraft Heinz, this is one that we were maybe looking at going bullish on since it's just so bearish. And it actually does not look too bad right now. If you wanted to play Kraft Heinz bullish, this would probably be how you would take it. You might have to wait for that pullback, but about 32.30 as a limit buy with a stop loss about 32.16 on Kraft Heinz makes loads of sense. My boy Stephen King says, what are your thoughts on WLL 24.97 by 25.27? I like it if you get filled. That'll be the challenge. For me personally, I have a rule that says if after 12:30 p.m. Central, the stock is a doji, I can't trade it for the day because most likely it won't do much more than that. I could be wrong, of course. It is down 10%. So, putting a stop limit might get skipped over, but it is at least worth watching. And NVIDIA, Jason, great job on the long with that double bottom. Thanks for asking about those moving averages. That was really fun to talk about earlier today, and that was a beautiful trade on NVIDIA. Team, I love you. I love the markets. I love trading. I love helping. I love enriching lives. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'll be on Slack, and I'll also be back around 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern for the post-market prep with Joel Elconin. I'll see you all then, and until then, love life, live life, and trade it. Bye.